Once I seen Beyonce posting pictures out the blue, I knew some shit was about to pop off. Beyonce don't post on Instagram, don't post really at all. But the moment she posts, y'all already know something's about to follow. And bam! What went ahead and followed? Another DOJ release files on them files. Yeah, another DOJ release on them files popped out. And guess who was on the list? Yup, y'all see it. Beyonce name was there, as well as her husband Jay-Z name was on this list being mentioned in the
The thing about Beyonce,
The moment the latest Department of Justice documents hit the internet, social media didn't just react, it erupted. Screenshots started flying, names were being circled in red, threads were building by the minute. And right there, buried inside pages that fans swear they combed through overnight, was a detail that sent shockwaves across the timeline. Jay-Z's name reportedly appearing not once, but twice. Within hours, Beyoncé's name was being dragged into the conversation too, and suddenly what was supposed to be just another document release turned into a full-blown celebrity firestorm. Now, let's be clear, these are reports, online discussions, and circulating commentary. Nothing here is confirmed beyond what people claim they're seeing in the documents. But that didn't stop fans from spiraling, because when one of the most powerful couples in entertainment gets mentioned in the same breath as
spooked out right now, and it's crazy to see because it's like, did we see how he reacted when those people were outside trying to interview him, ask him questions, and he was so terrified that they were going to ask him about Epstein? And I just think it's so funny. I'm like, who is on payroll? Because nobody asked him the hard questions ever. Like, I never see these questions
explosive federal files. Emotions run high, and the internet moves fast. Some are calling it coincidence. Others are asking hard questions. And as reactions pour in from bloggers, influencers, and even rival artists, you can feel it. This story isn't just about paperwork anymore. It's about reputation, power, and what happens when whispers suddenly get amplified. The internet did not slowly react to the document release. It detonated. Within minutes of bloggers posting that Jay-Z's name had allegedly appeared twice in newly circulated DOJ paperwork connected to the Epstein investigation, timelines filled with screenshots, cropped paragraphs, and bold red arrows pointing to lines that fans claimed were significant. Some users insisted the mentions were minor references. Others argued that even being listed at all raised uncomfortable questions. And while there has been no official statement confirming any wrongdoing, the conversation itself took on a life of its own. In celebrity culture, perception can become louder than proof. That is exactly what seemed to unfold. Commentary channels went live, podcasts, emergency recorded episodes. Influencers who rarely speak on legal matters suddenly found themselves dissecting federal terminology. One host dramatically said, "When powerful names show up in serious documents, people are going to ask why. That does not mean guilt, but it does mean attention." That line alone was clipped and reshared thousands of times. Fans are shocked, not necessarily because of confirmed facts, but because of the symbolism attached to the names involved. Jay-Z and Beyoncé have long represented power, polish, and precision. Their brand is built on control. They rarely speak unless they choose to. So when a narrative begins to move without their direction, it creates tension. Online, that tension translated into theories, emotional debates, and heated arguments between supporters and critics. One fan wrote, "Just because a name appears does not mean involvement. Context matters." Another responded, "Context is exactly what we are asking for." Emotions ran high across platforms as threads stretched into the thousands of comments. Some demanded transparency, others accused bloggers of exaggeration for clicks. Meanwhile, major news outlets remained cautious, reporting only that certain high-profile names were being discussed online in connection to the broader document release, without drawing conclusions. Beyoncé's name entering the conversation added another layer. According to online chatter, her name was referenced in proximity to Jay-Z's mention, though there has been no verified claim of misconduct. Still, the optics alone were enough to ignite speculation. One commentator dramatically stated, "When America's most private couple gets pulled into a public storm, you know the narrative will not stay quiet." Whether that statement holds weight or not, it captures the tone of the moment. Behind the scenes, insiders quoted anonymously in entertainment blogs suggested that the couple was aware of the discourse but not panicking. One alleged source said, "They have dealt with rumors for decades. This is noise unless something concrete surfaces." Again, these are unnamed voices and unverified quotes circulating in the media ecosystem, but they contribute to the story's dramatic texture. At the same time, rival industry figures subtly entered the conversation. Social media users pointed to cryptic posts made by other artists, suggesting shade without directly naming anyone. A single image captioned "Truth always surfaces" was dissected for hours. Was it connected? Was it coincidence? Nobody knows, but the speculation added gasoline to an already blazing topic. Legal analysts who appeared on talk shows emphasized caution. One attorney explained, being named in a document can mean many things. It could indicate contact information, a meeting, or simply being referenced by another party. It does not automatically imply criminal behavior. That clarification.
Some reactions, but not all. Once a narrative gains momentum online, it rarely retreats quietly. The family dynamic element also surfaced in commentary. Some bloggers framed the situation as a reputational test for the Carter brand. Their empire is built on legacy, one host said during a live stream. Anything that even hints at controversy challenges that image. Supporters pushed back, arguing that decades of business success and philanthropy should not be overshadowed by unverified online interpretations. Meanwhile, longtime fans revisited past interviews where Jay-Z spoke about resilience and weathering storms. Clips of him saying, "We have been through worse," resurfaced and were reposted as symbolic reassurance. Others remembered Beyoncé's history of addressing public scrutiny through art rather than press conferences. Speculation grew about whether music, not statements, would be the response if the discourse continued. The broader cultural conversation also played a role. Society has grown more skeptical of powerful figures in general, so when any influential name appears adjacent to legal investigations, even peripherally, people tend to react strongly. This is less about a single document line and more about a climate where trust is fragile. In that environment, rumors travel faster than clarifications. Still, it is important to note that at this stage, much of what is circulating remains commentary layered on top of limited publicly verified details. There has been no official charge, no formal accusation tied directly to the couple from the released materials, as reported by mainstream sources. What exists is conversation. Intense, dramatic, emotionally charged conversation. One entertainment journalist summarized it carefully during a panel discussion. The real story right now is not what the documents definitively prove. It is how quickly the internet assigns meaning. We are watching narrative formation in real time. That observation captures the atmosphere, a swirl of assumption, defense, curiosity, and outrage. As the hours turned into days, the volume of discussion did not immediately fade. Hashtags trended, then dipped, then resurfaced when new clips or commentary appeared. Some creators built entire breakdown videos analyzing the same few pages repeatedly. Others called for restraint. Let facts lead, one podcast host insisted. But in the digital age, facts and feelings often move side by side, sometimes in opposite directions. Within fan communities, divisions became visible. Some remained unwaveringly supportive, arguing that speculation without proof damages reputations unfairly. Others insisted that public figures must answer any association, however indirect, with controversial investigations. The community was left divided, not over confirmed events, but over interpretation. And while official silence from the couple continued, the cultural machine kept spinning. Reaction videos, think pieces, debate panels, and live streams layered over each other, each adding emotion to an already amplified topic. Whether this moment fades into another forgotten internet cycle or evolves into something more concrete remains unclear. What is undeniable is that once the names were mentioned, even in reported documentation, the conversation shifted from quiet paperwork to full-scale celebrity drama, and the world began watching every move, every post, every silence, searching for meaning in the spaces between what is said and what is simply suggested. The moment those screenshots started circulating, it felt less like a document release and more like a cultural tremor. People were not calmly reading legal text. They were zooming in, highlighting, reposting, reacting in real time. In group chats and comment sections, one question kept repeating: why is his name there at all? Not an accusation, not a conviction, just a presence. And sometimes in celebrity culture, presence alone is enough to ignite suspicion. Commentary channels quickly framed the situation as a reputational crossroads. One host leaned into the camera and said, "We are not saying guilt, we are saying visibility, and visibility changes everything." That clip alone spread like wildfire because it captured the emotional temperature of the moment. Fans are shocked, not necessarily because they believe wrongdoing has been proven, but because the Carter brand has always felt untouchable, controlled, strategic, deliberate.
As bloggers dissected the alleged mentions, they reminded viewers that being referenced in federal files can mean many different things. It could be a contact, a third-party recollection, or even a contextual mention without implication. Still, nuance rarely trends. Drama does. And when Jay-Z's name was reported twice, that detail became the headline. Twice became symbolic. Twice became suspicious in the eyes of critics, even though legal analysts cautioned that repetition does not equal responsibility.
Meanwhile, Beyoncé's name entering the discussion added emotional weight. Social media users debated whether her mention was direct or simply adjacent. Some insisted it was minor, others amplified it into something larger. One influencer dramatically declared, "When a power couple's names sit anywhere near controversy, people will connect dots whether the lines exist or not." Emotions ran high under that post. Supporters argued fiercely that speculation was unfair. Skeptics demanded clarity. Inside fan communities, tension bubbled. Some longtime supporters posted montages of the couple's philanthropy, business achievements, and cultural impact, almost as if building a digital defense wall. Others replied with cautious curiosity, saying transparency should never be feared. The family was left divided in online spaces, not over confirmed actions, but over how much explanation public figures owe when their names trend in uncomfortable contexts. Entertainment journalists added layers to the conversation. During a late-night panel, one reporter said, "This is the risk of global fame. When documents drop, your name does not need to be bolded for it to be noticed." Another countered, "But we must separate documentation from accusation. The public often merges the two." That exchange itself became a viral clip because it reflected the broader divide. What intensified the drama was the timing. The entertainment world was already buzzing with other high-profile legal stories. Trust in powerful institutions feels fragile right now, so when influential names appear anywhere near serious investigations, even indirectly, skepticism grows. This moment became less about a single document line and more about a cultural climate that questions authority. Rival artists subtly fueled speculation without making direct statements. Cryptic lyrics were reposted, old interviews resurfaced. A single vague tweet saying "the truth always circles back" sparked hours of debate. Was it connected? Was it coincidence? Nobody could confirm. But in an environment to chart suspicion, every shadow feels meaningful. Behind the scenes, unnamed sources quoted in blogs suggested that Jay-Z was aware of the chatter but not reacting publicly. One alleged insider claimed, "He has survived storms before. Silence is strategy." Again, this is commentary circulating through entertainment outlets, not confirmed statements, but it adds to the narrative that this is a chess match, not a panic. Beyoncé's silence drew just as much attention. Historically, she rarely addresses controversy head-on. Instead, she transforms experience into art. Fans speculated whether new music might subtly reference the situation. Critics argued that silence can sometimes appear calculated. The debate spiraled beyond documents into questions about image management and power dynamics. Legal experts continued to emphasize restraint. One attorney explained during a live stream, "Being named in investigative material can occur for countless neutral reasons. Without context, the public risks misunderstanding what they see." That voice of caution slowed some conversations, yet others insisted that powerful figures should welcome scrutiny rather than avoid it. In comment sections, heated arguments broke out. "If there is nothing to hide, say something," one user wrote. Another responded, "Why respond to rumors built on interpretation?" That exchange was repeated thousands of times across platforms. Emotions ran high because this is not just about paperwork. It is about trust, legacy, and the perception of influence. For decades, Jay-Z has cultivated an image of strategic intelligence. Every move feels intentional. So when a narrative begins without his control, it disrupts that carefully constructed aura. Observers began analyzing body language from recent public appearances. Was he more reserved? Was that glance at a reporter loaded with tension? These are subjective interpretations, yet they fueled the dramatic tone. At the same time, many voices urged perspective. "We are watching narrative formation in real time," one cultural commentator said. "The story right now is how quickly meaning gets assigned, not what has been proven." That distinction is crucial. There has been no official charge announced in connection to the couple from the reported mentions. What exists is speculation layered on limited public information. Still, speculation carries weight in the digital age. Reputations can tremble under the pressure of viral conversation alone. Corporations tied to celebrity brands monitor these waves closely. Industry insiders reportedly discussed whether endorsements or partnerships might feel a temporary strain if the chatter escalated. Nothing concrete is surfaced, but even the possibility adds tension. Supporters remain steadfast. They pointed out that many public figures have had their names appear in large-scale investigations without facing wrongdoing. They argued that Guilt by association is a dangerous path. Critics countered that transparency strengthens credibility. The debate revealed deeper societal questions about accountability and fame. As hours turned into days, the intensity shifted but did not disappear. Trending topics dipped, then resurfaced when a new influencer uploaded a breakdown video. Reaction channels replayed the same alleged document excerpts repeatedly, each time adding dramatic commentary. Viewers dissected tone, phrasing, and legal language as if decoding a mystery novel. Through it all, one truth stands clear. At this stage, the conversation is driven by commentary and interpretation, not confirmed allegations. Yet, in the world of celebrity drama, perception often feels as powerful as proof.
Fans are shocked, critics are skeptical, supporters are defensive, and the silence from the center of the storm only amplifies curiosity. What began as a reported document release has evolved into a cultural spectacle. People are not just analyzing pages, they are analyzing power. They are questioning influence. They are debating whether prominence shields or exposes. And as the discourse continues, the tension rests not on what has been legally established, but on what the public believes could be hiding between the lines of text that sparked a fire no one seems ready to extinguish. And that fire did not cool down the next morning. Instead, it spread into new corners of the internet, where creators began layering old rumors onto fresh headlines. Suddenly, archived clips were resurfacing, past interviews were being dissected, and timelines were reconstructed as if fans were building a caseboard with invisible red string. It was no longer just about the documents, it became about history. One commentary channel opened with dramatic music and said, "When powerful names echo inside federal paperwork, people do not just ask what happened today, they ask what happened years ago." That line set the tone. Bloggers started revisiting every past controversy, every old industry whisper that had once faded away. Emotions ran high as speculation blurred into storytelling. Some critics argued that this moment exposed a deeper issue, the imbalance between celebrity influence and public accountability. "You cannot be this powerful and expect people not to question you," one panelist declared during a live stream debate. Immediately, supporters flooded the comments defending Jay-Z's decades of business leadership and community initiatives. The chat became chaotic. Accusations met rebuttals in real time. Beyoncé's name continued to trend alongside his, and that pairing intensified the reaction. For many fans, she represents excellence and meticulous image control, so seeing her drawn into online discourse, even indirectly, felt jarring. One fan wrote, "She has worked too hard for her name to be casually dragged." Another replied, "If there is nothing there, clarity will protect her." The community was left divided once again, each side convinced their stance was the reasonable one. Meanwhile, industry insiders allegedly whispered that boardrooms were paying attention. Entertainment reporters speculated about how quickly narratives can influence brand perception. Although there were no confirmed sponsorship changes or formal announcements, the mere idea that corporate partners might be watching added tension to the story. In celebrity culture, optics matter almost as much as facts. In the middle of it all, rival voices seemed to circle the situation like sharks sensing movement. Subtle shade appeared in interviews. An artist on a radio show casually said, "Sometimes the loudest silence speaks volumes." The host raised an eyebrow and asked, "Are you referring to anyone specific?" The artist laughed and said, "I'm just saying what people see." That moment was clipped, reposted, and debated for hours. Whether it was connected or coincidence, the timing fueled speculation. Legal analysts tried again to inject calm. One expert explained, "Documents in large investigations can contain names for various reasons, including contact logs or secondary references. Without context, drawing conclusions is irresponsible." That voice of caution echoed across serious outlets. Yet drama-based platforms continue to amplify the emotional angle, because conflict generates engagement, and engagement keeps stories alive. The narrative then shifted toward reputation management. Commentators began asking whether Jay-Z would eventually address the discourse. "He is known for calculated responses," one media strategist said. "If he speaks, it will be deliberate. If he stays silent, that too is deliberate." Fans debated which move would appear stronger: speak and risk fueling more questions, or stay quiet and let the storm burn itself out. At the same time, Beyoncé's past approach to controversy resurfaced as a talking point. She has historically used creative expression instead of interviews to
respond to public scrutiny. Viewers speculated whether new art could contain subtle references if the tension continued. Critics dismissed that theory as wishful thinking. Supporters insisted that her track record proves she controls her narrative on her own terms. As discussions deepened, the tone grew more personal. Some commentators framed the situation as a test of loyalty within the industry. Who would publicly defend the couple? Who would remain silent? One podcast host dramatically stated, "When the lights dim and the rumors rise, you find out who stands beside you." The phrase, "the family was left divided," began trending within fan spaces as debates intensified. Longtime associates of Jay-Z were also pulled into commentary threads. Old business partnerships were mentioned. Archived photographs were reanalyzed. None of these details confirmed anything new, but they contributed to the atmosphere of investigation driven by curiosity rather than official revelation. It felt less like journalism and more like collective storytelling shaped by suspicion. In group chats, fans dissected body language from recent appearances. A slight pause before answering a question during a previous interview became evidence to some. A neutral facial expression turned into alleged discomfort. This is the psychology of viral discourse. When a narrative gains traction, people reinterpret past moments through a new lens. Yet, amid the drama,
many voices continued to remind audiences that nothing concrete had been legally established in connection to the couple based on the publicly discussed material. "We must separate trending from truth," one commentator insisted. But trending has its own power. Once a topic embeds itself into public consciousness, it reshapes how every future move is perceived. Another twist emerged when some users questioned why the documents were released in phases. They speculated about what else might surface later. Although there is no confirmed indication that additional revelations involve the couple, the anticipation itself fueled suspense. Anticipation can be as potent as evidence in the world of entertainment drama. Through it all, one recurring phrase echoed across platforms: optics matter. Critics argued that proximity to controversial investigations, even indirectly, can tarnish a legacy. Supporters countered that decades of influence cannot be undone by online interpretation. The emotional stakes felt high because the names involved symbolize more than individuals. They represent an empire built on image, business acumen, and cultural impact. As night fell on the second wave of discourse, live streams continued. Super chats poured in as hosts asked viewers what they believed. "Do you think this is coincidence or something deeper?" one creator asked repeatedly. Viewers typed responses faster than they could be read. Some demanded statements, others warned against mob mentality. In this climate, silence becomes dramatic. Every hour without a public comment adds another layer of mystery. Some interpret quiet as confidence. Others see it as strategic avoidance. Neither interpretation has been confirmed, yet the speculation itself keeps attention locked onto the story. And beneath all the noise, one reality remains clear. At this stage, the situation is fueled by commentary about reported document mentions, not by verified accusations or formal charges tied to the couple. The conversation is powerful because of perception, not proof. But perception, especially in celebrity culture, can shift tides quickly. What started as lines in paperwork has evolved into a social media spectacle filled with emotional reactions, rival whispers, divided fan bases, and questions about accountability. The documents may have sparked the discussion, but the internet transformed it into a dramatic saga that continues to unfold in real time, with every post, every clip, and every silence adding another layer to a narrative that refuses to settle. And just when it seemed like the conversation might plateau, a new layer of drama entered the picture. Late one evening, a well-known entertainment blogger went live and claimed that sources close to industry circles were concerned about how this narrative is snowballing. No evidence was presented, no document shown, but the tone alone was enough to send viewers into another spiral. The comment section exploded. Fans are shocked, critics felt validated, and emotions ran high once again. The blogger leaned closer to the camera and said, "Listen carefully. Nobody is saying charges. Nobody is saying crimes. What people are saying is influence leaves footprints." That sentence was clipped within minutes and reposted across multiple platforms. Whether metaphorical or literal, the phrasing added a mysterious weight to the conversation. Influence leaves footprints. Suddenly, every past connection, every old photograph, every industry event attended by powerful figures became part
of online analysis. Talk shows picked up the momentum. During one heated panel, a cultural critic argued, "This is about power and proximity. When your name appears in sensitive files, even as a reference, the public wants clarity." Another panelist quickly responded, "Clarity requires context, and right now, context is thin." The tension between those viewpoints mirrored what was happening across fan communities. The family was left divided in digital spaces, not by facts, but by feelings. Meanwhile, business analysts began speculating about the ripple effect on the couple's empire. Streaming numbers were tracked. Stock discussions about affiliated companies surfaced in finance blogs. Again, there were no confirmed financial consequences reported, but the conversation itself hinted at how quickly perception can influence markets. In entertainment, reputation is currency. Even rumors can make investors watch closely. Behind closed doors, insiders allegedly suggested that advisors were monitoring the situation carefully. One anonymous source quoted in a blog claimed, "They are not scrambling, they are assessing." That single word, assessing, became symbolic. Supporters interpreted it as calm confidence. Critics read it as calculated strategy. Interpretation became everything. The situation grew even more intense when an old interview resurfaced where Jay-Z discussed navigating controversy in his career. In the clip, he said, "You cannot control every narrative, but you can control your response." Viewers debated whether that philosophy would apply now. Would there be a response at all, or would silence remain the chosen approach? Beyoncé's presence in the discourse continued to amplify emotional reactions.
Some fans argued passionately that her name being mentioned in online discussions was unfair and rooted in association rather than evidence. Others countered that public figures cannot separate themselves from scrutiny when their names trend alongside serious investigations. Neither side could claim confirmation, yet both spoke with conviction. A dramatic twist unfolded when a rival podcast host claimed that industry loyalty was being tested quietly. People are choosing sides without saying it publicly, the host suggested. Again, no names were listed, no proof offered, but the insinuation fueled more debate. Viewers began analyzing who had posted supportive messages and who had remained silent. Social media likes and follows were suddenly interpreted as signals. Emotions ran high during a particularly tense live stream where two commentators argued in real time. One insisted, "This is overblown. Being named does not equal wrongdoing." The other shot back, "And ignoring it does not erase questions." Their exchange felt like a microcosm of the larger conversation. Tension without resolution. Another wave of speculation centered around timing. Why now? Why did these documents resurface at this particular moment in the entertainment cycle? Some theorized about political motives, others suggested coincidence. Without confirmed answers, theories multiplied. The lack of definitive information created space for imagination to expand. In fan forums, threads reached thousands of replies. Some users meticulously explained legal processes, urging others to wait for verified statements. Others shared emotional reactions, expressing disappointment or confusion. One comment that gained traction read, "We deserve transparency, not mystery." Another replied, "We deserve fairness, not assumptions." The emotional stakes felt personal because for many supporters, this couple symbolizes more than fame. They symbolize aspiration and influence. As the third wave of discourse intensified, public appearances were scrutinized more closely than ever. A recent photograph of Jay-Z at an event was analyzed for subtle expressions. Was that smile forced? Was that posture defensive? Of course, such interpretations are subjective, yet they dominated conversation threads. In celebrity culture, perception often outruns proof. Legal commentators again emphasized boundaries. One attorney explained during a televised segment, names in investigative materials can surface in many contexts, including interviews or third-party mentions. Without detailed clarification, conclusions remain speculative. That careful phrasing offered grounding, but drama-driven channels continued amplifying emotional angles. A subtle but significant shift occurred as some voices began questioning not just the documents, but the broader system of influence in entertainment. Commentators asked whether power structures protect certain figures more than others. This reframed the discussion from individual speculation to systemic curiosity. Even without concrete evidence, the idea of imbalance resonated with viewers who already feel skeptical about elite circles. Through it all, silence remained the loudest sound. No direct statement had been issued addressing the online
Storm. Supporters saw strength in restraint. Critics saw avoidance. The absence of a clear public explanation created space for narrative expansion. Yet beneath the spectacle, one consistent truth persisted. There has been no confirmed allegation formally tied to the couple from the publicly discussed document mentions. The frenzy is driven by commentary, interpretation, and emotional reaction. Still, in the entertainment world, emotional reaction can shape reality. As this phase of the saga continued, the question shifted from what the documents contain to how the couple would navigate the perception battle. Would this moment fade like past rumors, or would it linger long enough to reshape public dialogue about influence and accountability? Viewers stayed tuned not because they had answers, but because uncertainty itself became compelling. And as midnight discussions rolled into early morning debates, one thing became undeniable. What began as reported lines and paperwork had evolved into a multi-layered drama about power, loyalty, perception, and silence. The documents may have sparked the conversation, but the emotional stakes transformed it into a story that felt larger than any single page could contain. And by the time the fourth wave of discussion rolled in, the tone had shifted from shock to strategy. The outrage was still there in certain corners of the internet, but now people were watching more carefully. Not just what was being said, but what was not being said. Silence had become part of the storyline. A major entertainment network ran a segment analyzing the cultural impact of the controversy, rather than the documents themselves. The host said, "This is what happens when influence meets uncertainty."
the facts may be limited, but the reaction becomes limitless. That framing changed the energy. Instead of just asking what the paperwork meant, viewers began asking what the reaction meant. Some observers claimed that the real battle was no longer legal, it was reputational. This is about narrative control, one media strategist explained during a podcast. Whoever controls perception controls longevity. That comment sparked another heated exchange in the chat. Supporters argued that longevity had already been secured through decades of work. Critics countered that reputation is a living thing and must be protected constantly. Behind the scenes, insiders allegedly suggested that legal teams were monitoring commentary channels for misinformation. Again, there has been no public confirmation of lawsuits or official warnings, but the idea alone added another dramatic layer. It created the sense that invisible lines were being drawn between speculation and potential defamation. Creators began choosing their words more carefully, repeating disclaimers that they were discussing reports, not confirming facts. Meanwhile, fan loyalty was put to the test. Some longtime supporters admitted feeling unsettled, not because they believed accusations had been proven, but because uncertainty is uncomfortable. One fan wrote, "I just want clarity so we can move forward." Another responded, "Clarity requires more than internet rumors." The family was left divided emotionally, not legally. A surprising twist came when a respected cultural journalist published an opinion piece urging patience. The article stated, "In an era of rapid reaction, restraint is rare. Public figures deserve fairness until evidence dictates otherwise." That perspective gained traction among viewers who felt the frenzy had escalated beyond proportion. Yet even that article was debated. Critics said it downplayed legitimate questions. Industry competitors remained strategically vague. During an awards show red carpet interview, one artist was asked directly whether the ongoing discourse affected trust within elite circles. The artist smiled and replied, "Everyone is accountable to something." The answer was ambiguous enough to fuel another cycle of interpretation. Did it reference the documents? Was it philosophical? Speculation thrived. Financial analysts quietly noted that streaming numbers and brand engagement appeared steady. While online debate was loud, measurable impact seemed minimal at that stage. This created another divide. Some argued that the storm was mostly digital noise. Others insisted that reputational shifts often take time to reflect in metrics. Through all of it, the central reality remained unchanged. No formal charges had been announced in connection to the couple based on the reported mentions circulating online. No verified evidence had emerged linking them to criminal conduct from the documents being discussed. What existed was discourse layered on discourse, reaction layered on reaction. Yet perception can cast long shadows. Commentators began discussing legacy. How will this moment be remembered? One host asked during a late-night broadcast. As another rumor that faded, or as the beginning of deeper scrutiny?
Question lingered because history shows that some controversies dissolve, while others reshape narratives permanently. Supporters emphasized resilience. They pointed to previous storms weathered publicly, from business disputes to personal revelations, arguing that this would follow a similar arc. Critics insisted that the climate feels different now, more skeptical, less forgiving. Neither side could predict the outcome, but both felt the tension. In private spaces, according to unverified insider chatter, conversations were calm and calculated. They are focused on facts, not noise, one source allegedly claimed. Whether that statement reflects reality or strategic messaging cannot be confirmed, but it reinforced the image of composure amid chaos. As days passed, the intensity gradually softened, but it did not vanish. Instead, it transformed into a lingering question mark hanging over discussion threads. Whenever new developments in the broader investigation appeared in headlines, viewers immediately checked whether familiar names resurfaced. Vigilance replaced outrage. The saga highlighted something deeper about modern celebrity culture. Fame magnifies everything. A single reported mention in documents can ripple into debates about power, loyalty, transparency, and influence. The emotional conflict was not just about legality, it was about trust in icons. By the end of this wave, one thing became clear. This was less about a definitive revelation and more about a perception battle unfolding in real time. The documents may have triggered the spark, but the fire was fueled by interpretation. Fans are shocked, critics are watchful, supporters are protective, and observers are cautious. What remains unresolved is not a confirmed accusation, but a collective curiosity. Will a statement eventually be made? Will context emerge clarifying the mentions? Or will this fade quietly as another example of how quickly the internet builds mountains from minimal details?
For now, the story stands at a crossroads shaped by commentary rather than conviction. The emotional stakes were high, the debates intense, the reactions dramatic. But until verified information expands beyond reported mentions, the situation remains rooted in discussion, not declaration. And in the world of entertainment drama, sometimes the loudest chapters are written not by facts alone, but by the way audiences react when powerful names appear in unexpected places. So here we are. A document release sparked a headline. A headline sparked a firestorm, and that firestorm turned into one of the most talked about celebrity debates online. Jay-Z reportedly being named twice in circulating DOJ files, Beyoncé's name pulled into the conversation, fans dissecting every detail, critics demanding clarity, supporters urging patience. And through it all, one important reminder stands firm. Right now, what we are seeing is commentary about reported mentions, not confirmed accusations or proven wrongdoing. But perception in the entertainment world can be just as powerful as proof. Reputations are built over decades and tested in moments like this. Silence can feel strategic, statements can feel calculated, and the public always has questions when powerful names appear anywhere near controversy. Emotions ran high, the family was left divided across social media, and the internet once again showed how quickly narrative can outpace verified information. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think this is just another example of online speculation growing louder than the facts? Or do you believe public figures owe more transparency when their names surface in serious discussions? Drop your thoughts in the comments and keep it respectful. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next update as the story continues to unfold. Your voice matters in conversations like this, so join the discussion and let us know where you stand.